I'm Eric.
And I'm Jaime.
And this is Horrorscope, a podcast for people who love horror movies.
And people who want to love them.
Jaime, we're back. We're back in Juan's world. By popular demand, of all things.
You know what? We're giving you what you wanted. You wanted, we got it. This episode, our Insidious episode, is twice as popular as any other episode.
Why?
Why?
No, audience, please. Like, why? Why is that episode? What did we do?
I didn't like Insidious. We're not particularly fond of the film. It's a good episode. It's not a bad episode, but
maybe it's like,
I don't know.
You finally somebody said it kind of thing, where it's like,
Maybe.
I'm so tired of this dreaded fan surfacey posting about Insidious, and finally one person had the gall to call Insidious out, and it was,
you know what,
Jaime.
If you can rely on me for anything, it's for disagreeing with Dreadit.
If there's one thing you can rely on Dreadit, is people disagreeing on Dreadit.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, has anyone heard of Train to Busan? Has anyone heard of this movie Hereditary?
I really found this really cute movie. It's kind of old, so you might have not heard of it. It's called The Shining.
Really cute, you
really
said.
Cute. Really cute movie.
Challenging word choice.
You haven't seen it yet.
That's true, but what I have seen is Insidious 1.
Wow, our first squeakle. We have done directors multiple times. We have done James Wan 4 times. And
I don't like you saying we've done James Wan 4 times.
But I do.
I guess you did choose your words.
Rarely the case for me.
What do you have to tell me about Insidious 2? First of all, what is the subtitle?
It's Insidious Chapter 2.
That's it?
That's it.
Electric Boogaloo. Here we go again. Insidious Chapter 2. You know what I realized we haven't done is the taglines. What's the tagline for this bad boy? Okay.
It will take what you love most.
Oh my god! Okay.
Not my Chia Pets.
Not my Robert Pattinson car freshener! No! Okay.
Not me. I love me the most. So also, cool little fact that I realized, we did Insidious 1
Yes.
10 episodes ago.
No way!
Yeah, nice little 10.
Wow!
Speaking of us, like, always stumbling upon
Oh my god,
things.
we're just so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you heard it here first.
You sound confident. Yeah, so do you know anything about the sequel? Do you remember a song?
I remember the trailer. We've watched the trailer.
Okay.
This one has the baby stuff that I am not excited about. I thought the first one had the baby stuff.
Yeah.
This one has the baby stuff. Yes.
Okay, wait, actually, sorry, I misread. It is Insidious Chapter 2. This one has the baby stuff.
Will baby.
That's Widow Insidious.
Insidious.
Or it's a upstairs game, oh no. You want to come get...
Okay, alright,
It will take the ones you love the most.
Enough of that. Okay. This is so chaotic. I know that we go back into the further. You said this one is really good. And the first one, it's better. You're like, I can't even talk about the first one, not with the second one.
So I realized when I was doing research for this one, I remember only one specific part about this movie that I really liked and have forgotten everything else about this movie.
So this sounds like Eric is backtracking.
Backpedaling would be a better word for it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I know about this. It's about the same family.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Patrick Wilson. Will he ever learn? Oh wait, he was possessed at the end of the last movie.
He was possessed.
So we're gonna have to figure that out.
We are.
Oh, you and I, and the listener, of course. And then I remember Rose Byrne is a demon at some point, right? In the trailer. It looks like she's wearing the demon makeup. Does this movie have the saturation, the coloring of the other one? Because I'm gonna fucking lose it. No!
It does.
Oh, no! Okay, tell me about this movie. I told you enough.
Okay.
You tell me. You tell me about this movie.
So I did see this one in the theaters, as far as what I know. I remember enjoying it specifically for one part about it.
When did it come out?
It came out in 2013.
Okay.
Same year as The Conjuring.
Okay. Good Wan year.
Good Wan year, yeah.
Looks like you won that one.
10 comedy points.
Given or taken?
You decide.
Given!
So after the first one's financial success in 2010, Jason Blum was like, okay.
Blum. We're on last name.
We're on last name.
With that guy.
Was like, all right, let's do another one. And they're like, yeah, we'll do another one. Please hold. And then it took them a year to write the treatment for this script.
Okay.
And James Wan and Leigh Whannell didn't do anything between this and Insidious 1, except for The Conjuring.
I didn't know Leigh Whannell was on The Conjuring.
He is not.
Oh, so they...
Sorry, I should say James Wan, so he did Insidious 1, and then 3-year gap, and then in 1 year came out with Conjuring and Insidious.
Damn, okay. Was this movie... Oh, I guess we'll talk about that later. I want to know if people like this movie, because people like the first one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
To a moderate degree. I think it has more of a little bit more of a fan base. I wouldn't even say cult following, it's just like a fan base for it.
Okay.
Or like a fan appreciation for it.
That's who's listening.
Yeah.
Those are the people listening.
Hey, what's up?
Sorry for everything we're about to say.
Yeah, and so James Wan spoke about why he wanted to come on board for the sequel for this, and he was quoted as saying, I think the sequel to Insidious is my kind of reaction to Saw, which he was stated before. He's very
That's right,
reactive.
okay, so you want to make a scary movie that's not, like...
Gory.
Okay.
Yes. And then with the sequels, he mentioned that I had my own reasons of why I didn't want to be involved with the sequels for Saw, and so I felt that with Insidious, think of it as a good way to be the shepherd for it and keep it more on track with the vision that I had when I made the first film so that it doesn't detour too far.
Okay,
Which
that's good.
I do like that backhanded saying of being like, I wasn't involved with the sequels for Saw, so I'm going to stay on this one.
You guys have seen that bullshit, so... Ooh. Man, I can't be mad at him, you know? Can't stay mad at James Wan.
Yeah, that little scamp.
That little rascal.
Yeah.
Can't stay mad at him. I appreciate him staying with the franchise.
For the sequel and then
For
just
the sequel.
and then left.
He wasn't there for the prequels?
He didn't do the third one. I think somebody else came on board for that. He was probably still like the producer on
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Because he really like set himself up between like Insidious universe with Chapter 2 this year, and then with The Conjuring coming out at like the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, The Conjuring universe is huge now. Insidious is on its like 4th installment. Now they're making the 5th one.
Whoa, really?
Yes, with
Whoa.
Patrick Wilson, who's going to make his like, I don't know if it's his directorial debut, but I think it's his directorial
Oh, that's
debut.
right. Okay, yes, okay. That news came out like the day we recorded the first episode, right?
Yeah, really
Yeah.
close to it. And somehow like now I'm more excited for Insidious 5 than I am Conjuring 3. Because Conjuring 3 is based off a real-life murderer who blamed demons. And
That's
like,
cool.
Cool. We'll make that real. We'll validate him.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Really run it. That's what happens when you make stuff based off hacks. You really start getting in problematic areas real fast.
Yeah, no shit. Okay.
What else? Oh, they started shooting this in January of 2013. And
When did it come out?
Conjuring came out in July, and then Insidious Chapter 2 came out in September.
That's a good summer.
Yeah.
That's a good summer
For Patrick.
For Patrick.
In horror movies.
I almost forgot to read the wiki here. Do you have anything else before we get there?
Patrick Wilson and everybody's still in this one again. Again, it took like 25 days to shoot. So
Miserable. Same kids?
Same kids.
Different baby.
Different baby. Oh, that's true. And the 5th one, too, the kid's coming back, and now he's like an adult. Because it's been 7 years.
That's wild. That's so weird. Okay. Insidious Chapter 2 is a 2013 American supernatural horror film. We're back, baby! Directed by James Wan. The film is a sequel to 2010's Insidious, the second installment in the Insidious franchise, and the 4th in terms of the series' in-story chronology. The film stars Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne reprising their roles as Josh and Renee Lambert, a husband and wife who seek to uncover the secret that has left them dangerously connected to the spirit world. Okay, I think that feels like enough.
Yeah, you want to know anything else before we go in?
Anything to watch out for? Do the babies die? I'm gonna guess no.
I don't know, because it's PG-13, so baby probably good.
Wait, what do you mean you don't know? Of course you know. You do know.
I've forgotten all of this movie, except for... Baby's fine. Baby's fine.
Look! Alright,
Baby's not
you're gonna
die.
be looking at the wiki before... You're gonna be reading the plot on Wikipedia. Let's watch the movie!
Alright.
Hey y'all, it is time for the content warnings for Insidious Chapter 2. This movie has typical ghostly spooks and scares, violence against children, a scene of brief tooth pulling, gaslighting, and abuse specifically relating to gender. I'm about to spoil a major plot of the movie right now, so skip ahead if you're planning to watch unspoiled. This movie draws inspiration from horror classics like Psycho, but bad news for us, it draws all the wrong parts because this movie heavily features the trope of a man in a dress does murder. Insidious 2 surprisingly grapples with very complicated themes like abuse and gender essentialism, but it only does so on a very surface level, and it never pays off. It felt pointless because portrayals like this are directly harmful to the lives of trans people, and it low-key ruins the movie. We talk a little bit about it, and Eric has links to some trans voices discussing this issue and what it means in pop culture. This week, we are highlighting the Trans Youth Equality Fund. TYEF develops high-quality resources and support services for trans youth and their families. They also run a podcast, they host summer and fall camps for trans kids and teens, and they host youth workshops. They're a great organization, so help sponsor a kid for camp and learn more about what they do at the link in the description if you are enjoying the show. Let's get into it. We just finished watching Insidious 2. What a film, Eric.
Oh, yes.
What a film.
A film indeed.
I liked this movie.
Okay.
I liked this movie. It wasn't good. Was it good?
Well, how about we walk through this movie step by step in the very formatted way that we typically do, and then we'll decide by the end of this recap.
All right. So, oh no. Insidious Chapter 2. I'm tagging you in to help me with this recap, by the way. Okay, great.
Let me know.
Thank you.
As this movie has shown us, WWE is very much a part of it. And like that, we are a tag team duo. And if you need to tap me into the ring at any point in time, Jamie, I'm here for you. I got a chair.
Sounds good. Wow, that was okay. Wow. All right. So the movie starts with a flashback. Okay. Listen to the Insidious episode. Great. Now you're here listening to this part. I can't really explain the whole movie. Okay, go listen to Insidious 1. It's not going to make any goddamn sense if you don't.
That's true.
It barely makes goddamn sense if you have.
Ooh, that's true.
Okay, Patrick Wilson kid flashback. It is when Elise comes into the house. She looks like a young Hillary Clinton, and they did the voiceover of the older actress with a younger actress. That was so fucking weird. Eric's like, it's not that bad. It was bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but it really threw me off. I thought it was weird. She's with a dude working with her named Carl.
The best name to give a character.
Yeah.
Is Carl.
Carl. Okay. And she ends up hypnotizing hypnotizing Josh in the
Patrick
flashback.
Wilson.
And they're talking about him, and she's like, okay, I think he's seeing things. And then at one point he looks over, and then he stands up and says, I can show you, and then points to a part in the house. Jump cut to Insidious! And then they do chapter 2. Okay, great. It's current day. Renee is in a police interrogation room, basically, like an intake room, and we're picking up right where the last movie left off. So Elise is dead. She took a picture. She saw a picture on the camera of the Lady in Black. Is that her name?
Woman in Black, I think.
The Woman in Black.
Yeah.
Oh, The Lady in Black is a movie.
Yes.
With Daniel
Radcliffe. No, that is
Radcliffe.
also Woman in Black.
Okay, so The Lady in Black. What did they call him in the first Insidious movie? Or her?
I think it was.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
With the spooky lady who haunted Patrick Wilson's dreams as a child. And then she turns around and Patrick Wilson is there. And then Patrick Wilson is acting like normal. It's like, oh no, what happened? And then he sees Elise and he's like, oh my god, what happened? Do you think I did this? And she's like, what? And so then the cops are like, okay, we're looking at his hands. Like, why would you not keep him detained? You just let that dude go.
Back with his family.
They're like, we're looking at the handprints on the neck to see if your husband did a murder. And Renee's like, this shit blows. And so they move in with the mother-in-law from the first movie, Lorraine. So they're living with the mother-in-law. And then weird stuff starts happening. Less baby stuff than I thought was going to happen.
You really were thinking this baby movie was going to be
The baby's not on the cover art. And it's like, he's got your baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's all over this fucking movie.
The baby applies, like, to no point.
Sorry for reading context clues. Baby stuff happens. So the piano
Baby stuff happens.
Well, I'll tell you what the baby stuff is. The piano starts playing. It's like the same nice melody sound, kind of. It kind of sounds like the beginning of Where Is My Mind by the Pixies.
Around me are familiar.
Literally. What is the song you will play on the piano so I know that you are trapped in the ether?
I'm blue.
No, come on. I'll be like, stay dead, Eric. Just kidding. Okay. Just kidding. So the baby, there's like a baby bouncer walker crib thing that makes like crazy noise and keeps lighting up. And poor Renee is just like having a breakdown, as she is allowed. She's allowed to break down. She's owed a breakdown.
I don't know anybody who would not be breaking down in that case.
No. And so, yeah, that is happening. Patrick Wilson's being kind of weird. And then I was like, dang, he's still gaslighting his wife. And then Eric's like, oh, well, you know, of course, because he's still possessed. And I was like,
he's still possessed.
So, okay. So
Spoilers.
I mean, you figure it out within like a few minutes after that, I feel like, right? Patrick Wilson is being possessed. The son hears him talking to himself, saying, Mother, I don't want to do it. I want to live. And talking to himself. And then, we cut to Specs and Tucker. Do you remember them? They were the sidekicks of Elise in the first movie, one of whom is Leigh Whannell. And they are in Elise's house. They're talking about how it sucks that she's dead. And then they go into her, like... That must have been where they were in the first movie, huh? That room?
Well,
no, they brought the equipment to the house.
Yeah.
So the equipment from the first movie is there, the, like, gas mask... ghost chamber channeling thing. They go into her basement, and that's like where she has all of her stuff and her candles and whatever. And then they find the video of Josh, Patrick Wilson, from when he was a kid, and they watch it, and then they're able to pick something up on the video. What is it? We'll find out.
Ooh.
And so then they go to visit Lorraine, the mother-in-law, right? Yes. And then they go off with her, and then they get in contact with Carl from the beginning of the movie. He is now old. He has a really bad fake goatee.
Wait, that was fake?
Eric, shut up. Eric, come on. You're the one who pointed it out, and I couldn't unsee it. Okay.
It's such a weird choice, because in the beginning of the
Yeah.
movie, too, whoever played the younger actor also looked like he was wearing a fake beard. Just have your actors
Maybe
grow a
that's
beard.
just this weird... Anyway, okay. So, the kids' names are Dalton and... What's the other kid's name?
Weston?
It's not Weston. Preston? He has like an adult banker name. Both of them.
Give me like 5
Cooper?
minutes.
Kerper?
Foster.
Fucking weird. Okay. So, Dalton... Foster is the unfortunate other brother. There's Foster, Dalton, who is the astral projector, and the baby Callie. And, Foster makes that tin can phone, and they're playing with it earlier. And, then Dalton is like half asleep, and then his grandma is like, don't leave us again, gives him a hug, and then he's like, Grandma, there's someone behind you. And then we see this woman in this weird long Victorian dress, and then she disappears, obviously. And then we find out later that Dalton was able to wake himself up, and he goes and that's when he hears the dad talking to himself. So later, someone starts talking to Dalton on the tin can, and the voice is like saying, I need to talk. What is it saying? Like, I need to talk to you. Let's hang out. You up?
Yes, that's it. That's the one.
And then Dalton's like, go to bed. You're being annoying to his brother. And then it's like, I'm not your brother. And then the tin can is going into the closet.
Juan loves his closets.
Loves his closets. And so the closet opens. It was actually, that was a really cool effect. And then does she jump out then?
Yeah, she like yeets out of the closet, runs over.
The same woman in the dress.
No, it was a victim.
Oh, it was a victim. That's right.
All the victims were like, hey.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
and she's saying, help me, help me, help me, and you can hear it. That was really cool. So you can see her screaming silently, but you can hear her voice through the tin can. And then Dalton goes under the covers and looks back out, and then all of the ghosts are there in true Insidious fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes under the covers again, and then the covers get pulled off of him, and then his mom is there saying it's going to be okay. It will not be okay.
Silly mom trying to make your kids
Yeah.
feel okay during
And then,
a ghost possession movie.
Justice for Renee. And then earlier, there was, the baby got yeeted out of the crib. There was crying. Poor Renee's just running around this house. They all need to be sleeping in the same room in this house.
Which is weird, because that happens in Conjuring.
Yeah,
remember?
thank you, Conjuring.
The other movie made this.
Thank you. These guys are like, okay, the kids can go back to sharing a room. We'll put the baby in a room by herself with the creepy baby monitor. Creepy. The mom... okay. This is what happens.
This movie is a series of unfortunate events, so it's hard to keep track.
Before the mother-in-law goes to see Specs and Tucker, she wakes up, and she the toddler walking toy is making noise, and the mother-in-law sees the woman walking in the dress. Mm-hmm. The door closes really slowly, and then when she opens it again, she like rips it open to see who's there, and Patrick Wilson is there. And he says, there's nothing scary happening, because if there was something scary happening, it would scare my family, and Renee can't hear you talking like this. And then the mom is like, oh, you're right, sure, yes. And then that's when the mom goes to them. Mm-hmm. Yes, right? Yeah. That's right, okay.
Surprisingly have a better memory of this movie than me. It's like,
not surprising. You had no clue what was going on. You didn't. You're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. You were just like, wow. Every time I looked over you, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. What now? That's when the mother-in-law goes to Specs and Tucker, and then they see, back in the old footage, young Josh is talking to adult Josh in the footage. How does that work? Carl is there. And Carl can communicate, he uses dice to communicate with the other world. So he's throwing dice, and it isn't really working. They're trying to contact Elise, our initial ghost hunter. They ask a series of questions, and they are led, like all the candles like light up and then go out, and then everything gets dark, and they say go to Lady of Angels Hospital, where the mom used to work. And then the mother-in-law.
To be fair, the dice said Our Lady Angles.
Angles, and they're like,
as Specs is like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. And then, so the mother-in-law used to work at a hospital. We get a flashback again. She is treating a patient, and she brings Josh in for some reason. The preteen.
To the ICU.
Josh. Yeah, to the ICU. And there's a man who's unconscious, and then Josh is poking around his medical equipment.
About to pull out the plug.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. And then the guy jumps up and starts yelling at him and screaming at him. And then that was weird and sus. And then she says, I saw him later. And this is still in the flashback. The young version of the mom is in an elevator. And then the same old man who yelled at her son is in the elevator with her. And she tries to talk to him and apologize. He doesn't talk to her, stares straight ahead, gets out the elevator, turns away. And then she is, like, looking at him. And then she goes over to her nurse, and she's like, he should be resting. Why is he out of his bed? And the nurse is like, he killed himself this morning. And then we go back to... they end up going to the hospital, which is now conveniently abandoned. And in a horrible violation of HIPAA, find this guy's file and his address. Mm-hmm. What else happens in the hospital?
His name is Parker. We should establish that.
Yes, his name is Parker. Does anything else happen in the hospital?
I mean, there's the flashback, the files. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Because then they go to his house, and then.
Yes. Okay. In present day, the cops call Renee, and we find out that the hand marks don't match Josh.
And a very casual, like, as if, like, you had turned your car into the shop, and like, oh, yeah, nothing's wrong with your car. He's just like, yeah, those handprints didn't match your husband's.
And she's like, I can't believe you don't know how relieved I am to hear you say that. I had to hear you say that.
It does mean that somebody else's handprints are around the neck, though.
Yeah. Renee's just grasping at straws here. I don't blame her.
I'm not blaming her. I'm blaming the police.
As we always will. When in doubt. So Patrick Wilson, back in the day, he pulls, back in present day, normal time, whoever is Patrick Wilson, aka Josh right now, pulls a tooth just right out of his head.
It's great.
And here's a creepy voice being like, your body is decaying, you have to kill them. And it's like, no, mother, I don't want to, ma'am. And then Patrick Wilson's looking gnarly. And then cut back to mother-in-law and ghost squad. They go into the old abandoned house. Lots of old abandoned locations. Old abandoned house of Foster, the man who died in the hospital.
No, Parker.
Foster's
the
kid. They all have the same
The second son was
no. Foster's fine. Parker, the man who died in the hospital. House is abandoned. They are in the house. They go upstairs, and Specs and Tucker see a little girl sitting on a bed, and a bunch of rocking horses first, just doing crazy motion. James Wan loves his creepy knickknacks.
Creepy
Can't blame him.
That's his next movie project, actually. No. It's called Creepy Knickknacks.
Creepy tchotchke. So the little girl turns around and says, you have to leave. You shouldn't be here. If she knows you're here, she'll make me kill you. And so they're like, let's leave. And then the mother-in-law sees a painting on the wall, and she's like, that's the woman who was in my house. So the little girl with pigtails who they just saw and the woman who was in the house, they are in a painting together in this house. And then a chandelier falls on them. They don't die. They're fine. So what happens is all of the guy throws his dice and says, "You're not Elise, are you?" And they hear thumping around in the house, and then it's like, "No, I'm the mother of death," in Latin.
He's like, "Oh, it's literal."
Yeah, and we're like, "No, it's actually, it's like literal, meaning Parker's mother." It's like, that's not literal, my man.
No, I would say mother of Parker.
So they're in the house, they're thumping, there's weird noises. They are able to break into like a hidden room that has a hidden panel, and it smells really bad. They're all coughing, and they see a bunch of bodies covered in sheet, and you can see their hands. They're like decaying, and they look under a sheet. You don't see it, but they're like, "Oh fuck, these are all victims."
Honestly, those bodies pretty well preserved.
Yeah.
For being killed in like what, the 70s?
Yeah, they shouldn't they? I don't know anything. I guess I would think they'd be skeletons.
If it's in like an isolated, closed room, I guess they could have been preserved.
I don't know. And then they find a box, and it was really funny because Eric said it's all the missing votes from the election fraud. We obviously don't believe that, but it's funny because it says "Bride in Black," but Eric thought it said Biden.
I thought this movie cracked it open.
You're like, "Oh my god, cute." So, Bride in Black, and it says Bride in Black claims his next victim. This is important. And then we see the veil and the dress on a creepy mannequin. And then Carl touches it and has a flashback of a man putting on makeup and putting over a veil and then going to kill a woman, grabbing a knife and going to kill a woman. And that is the old lady. So we find out the old lady from the first movie that was haunting Josh is actually a man. This man named Parker. Oh, man. Okay. So do we know... okay, and that man is the little girl that we saw upstairs.
Yes.
That's actually a boy. Stick with us. Does it make sense? Does it? They say that he was killing for his mother, so she wouldn't have to, and that Parker was just trying to get his childhood back. This is what Carl determines. Then they come up with a plan, and the plan is that the women are going to get out of the house. Mother-in-law is going to grab Renee. The kids are not home, and they are going to... Carl is going to go into the house. He's going to trank Patrick Wilson, and while he is under, they are going to hypnosis bring back real Patrick Wilson. Oh, also, Patrick Wilson is standing in the piano room in the house and is like, "You live in the shadows now." And then
there's so many good, like, fucking just lines in this movie.
Patrick Wilson goes full on, like, camp crazy person, which is really a delight.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, was he... Oh, real Patrick Wilson's playing the piano. And then immediately it cuts to him banging on the piano going, "Renee!"
Jamie has a very good knack of predicting movies seconds before they reveal it.
It's mostly actually just stupid.
No.
It's like not even a good superpower because it happens right before every time.
It's like that one movie where they can like tell 5 seconds ahead of time. They can like see 5 seconds in the future.
That Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, that's you, Jamie,
That's
but with
me.
movie predictions.
I do be knowing. But when it cuts to Patrick Wilson screaming, it's like blue, the same color from the movie before, and he has the same lantern, and it's smoky. So I was like, oh, that's the further. Okay, great. This movie was less insufferable with the color changing palette. It was fine in this movie. They also do a lot of like found footage style, like tracing with a flashlight, which I was like, sure, why not? At this point, fuck it. Throw it all in here. So
Paranormal Activity just hit. You got it.
This is where the movie really shines, and it really just kicks its shit into fifth gear.
Crazy.
So old guy Carl comes into the house, tries to have a conversation with Patrick Wilson, who looks like he's like decaying. Like he looks incredibly musty. Big bags under his eyes, wearing a robe, bad threatening energy. Renee is out of the house. The mother-in-law got her out of the house.
I do like the fact that at some point in time during production, they're like, all right, in this scene, this is going to be like the epic showdown. What is he wearing? And then like the wardrobe person was just like...
Robe.
A robe.
Dad pajamas and a robe. From Costco. So they're having a conversation, and then Carl just finds a tooth on the floor and does a little scuttle to pick it up, and Patrick Wilson says he's gonna go get him some water, and then comes back and sees him fiddling with the needle, basically, and then says that Carl sees that Patrick Wilson has something behind his back, and he says, "What's behind your back?" And it's like, "Why don't you ask your dice what's behind my back?" And I was like, it's gonna be like that Vine where it's, "What do you have?" "A knife!" "No!" It was a knife.
It was a knife, yeah.
The dice solves it. It was a knife. And then Patrick Wilson goes after Carl. They WWE fucking just start beating each other the fuck up. They're throwing shit at each other. What does he hit him with? He gets the baseball bat he had earlier, hits him with that. Like, they are really hauling ass. And then Specs and Tucker, who were listening in from a van outside, say, shit! And they run in and they start trying to get him. But what happens is Patrick Wilson yeets the old guy. Old guy falls over, hits Specs, slams his head into the ground. And then Tucker ends up getting the tranquilizer in there, in his leg. But Patrick Wilson took a few hits, but he tased him. One of the people tased him, but it didn't work, I guess. He's down but not out. Didn't get tased for that long. Didn't do a very good job. All right.
Not a good taser.
So now what? So now Carl wakes up in the further, which is the dreamscape of the house, and Patrick Wilson is there and is like, hey, shucks, it's me. Good, what's his name? Good Josh. Sorry, bud.
Good
Josh, it's me. It's normal
Pats his
Josh.
head.
Good Josh, sorry, bud. And then they're like, okay, we need to go find Elise. So then they are wandering through the further, and then a creepy dude shows up that Patrick Wilson can't see and says, hey, Scott, you're a baby. And then the coolest shit happens in the whole movie. So in the first movie, you want to talk about this, Eric?
Sure, yeah, okay.
I love that.
Tap out.
My brain, yeah, tag.
You did great so far.
Imagine us doing a cool flying kick off of the side of the wrestling ring with like the ropes, and then I do a little flip, and then I tag you in.
Yes. Okay, and as you tag me in, you use your momentum, and we tag, and that somehow that projects me forward, landing into the ring, taking on not only Insidious 1, but also Insidious Chapter 2 at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Insidious Chapter 1, there's a moment in the movie where they hear a knock at their front door, and they go downstairs and they open up the front door and nobody is there. And then suddenly they hear screaming, they go into the top bedroom, and there's the baby, and there's a creepy man with the baby. They freak out, and as that commotion's going on, they hear the front door slam open, and the alarm goes off, and Patrick Wilson runs downstairs, and there's nobody there. And so it's just like utter chaos. And I remember, if you go back, I remember watching it with Jamie, and Jamie's like, what the fuck is going on? Great, nobody's at the front door. This, like, what is this, like, supposed to happen? I was like, oh, you'll see. I never said that, but in my mind I did. In this movie, they are in the further. They're like, all right, we gotta go find Elise. And then the old naked man who is like, they got your baby. Sorry, I just wanted to say the line too. It's like, go that way. And so they go, and then Patrick Wilson knocks on the house door. So he's the one who knocks on the door. That Patrick Wilson from the first movie opens the door, doesn't see anybody because he's not in the further, and then leaves. But then when the evil spirit is attacking, goes Patrick Wilson's like, shit, gotta go see my baby, and busts open the front door.
Yes!
So it turns out the reason why the door opened up wasn't because of evil spirit, it was because good Patrick Wilson was coming in to save the day.
It was some good shit.
And he didn't even do it because he goes to fight the long-haired demon, and the long-haired demon bop beats the crap out of him until his tag team partner, Elise, shows up and blasts him with a light.
To hell.
And then it's like a fucking Avengers moment where like
literally
the portal's open and then she like turns around. Do you want to tag back in?
I am loving listening.
Okay. So
good Eric energy over here.
So we have now two consecutive storylines going on right now.
Yes.
One happens in the further. The other is happening in reality.
I love this. We've never done this.
Yeah.
Much like this movie, we are combining timelines.
Yes, we are Insidious Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Bop,
yes,
bop. We are James Wan and Leigh Whannell. I'll let you decide which one is which.
I want to be James Wan.
Oh, no, I want to be James Wan. You're always going to be James Wan, Jamie.
So the first James Wan nose goes for Leigh Whannell. Oh, looks like it's you.
I'm Patrick Wilson. Ha!
That's fine.
Okay.
He's the worst in this movie again.
But, like, at least he's possessed.
How, you said it, and I'll say it, how much does it speak of him that it's like, oh, gaslighting me, just my husband, like normal. Fuck!
Yeah, and she's like, is something wrong with Dad? Groundwork. And she's like, no, Dad always acts this shit.
Dad's such a dick. Your dad's a dick.
Remember the first movie? You don't, because you were in a coma, but your dad was not here for you. He was at school.
Yeah.
Anyways, two consecutive storylines going on right now. So we'll cut away from that. Elise shows up in her glory, and he's like, oh, she's here to save the day. And then we cut back. Renee and Lorraine get a phone call or a text from Tucker saying, hey, everything's cool. Come back to the house. Yes. So like, perfect. Everything went great. They go back to the house. It's not great because you know who's sitting there?
Robe man.
Robe
Patrick Wilson is sitting there. He is creepy.
They show up and they're like, fuck, something's wrong. He's still alive. Let's go. They book it. He fucking books it after them. They don't go through the front door. Oh, because he goes around and he blocks the front door. So they're like, shit. So they go around. They are fighting like fisticuff.
Yes.
He kicks his mom into a closet. Renee jumps on his back.
Yes, she does.
He throws her back, locks his mom into a room. Renee's running around trying to protect herself. They go into the kitchen And in the kitchen, they have a whole out brawl where she has a metal pan and just bop,
going at it.
Wailing on him. He gets it out of her hand. She runs away. He takes a metal kettle and then chucks it and knocks her out. Meanwhile, the kids are dropped off because I guess why would you just not drop off these kids?
And then, so he grabs Renee and then she's trying to crawl away. He flips her over and he says, "You are an ungrateful bitch because you didn't appreciate your life and you focused your life on the dead and the dying and you didn't appreciate your one moment in the sun and now you're gonna die."
Yes.
He starts choking her. Yes.
Cut back to the further. So then they go and they're like, all right, we need to figure this out.
Have you just been waiting this whole time for me to ask you to do a recap?
No, I just have a lot of manic energy. We're back in the further now. Elise is like, let me help you out. We got to go and figure this shit out. But we don't know where to go. Who would know how to go? And he's like, oh, you would know, Josh. And he's like, I don't remember anything. Remember me? You gave me amnesia. And she's like, oh, I guess we have to ask a different Josh. We go back to the first scene in the movie where young Josh is like, stands up, is like, oh, you have to go that way. Because in actuality, they come in the further, old good new Josh, and Elise and Carl are like, where do we go to find Parker's childhood home? Because that's how we destroy him. And then he's like, oh, it's right over there. And so then they go into there. And so in the beginning of the movie, it's like creepy because the door slowly opens to the closet. And it's like, what's going on? But in like now this point in time, it's like, oh, that just leads them to Parker's house.
And then Elise is like, oh, that's what that was about.
Wow, it's really badly dubbed. Anyways. So they go to the house and then they discover Parker dressed like a girl.
They go to the house in the further.
Yes.
They go to Parker's house
in the further.
Yes.
And Parker's there with his mother, and she is like, you are a girl. You signed your name as Parker. Your name isn't Parker.
Unlike the sad crayon drawing that was like, I love you, mommy, love Parker. And it's like, this isn't your name.
It's Marilyn.
Yeah, and the mom smacks him. And this happened earlier. The mom yelled, this ghost mom yelled, how dare you, and smacked Renee earlier.
And knocked her out.
Yes, and knocked her out. So we
forgot about, we skipped over that whole part where
that's fine.
Patrick finds her and picks her up and sniffs her hair. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, okay. That's going to be so confusing. I'm going to be like, what the fuck?
At one point in time, she gets knocked out of his sister. Anyways. So then, so she's like talking to him. He's like, your name is Marilyn. You're going to be Marilyn, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden she like realizes Elise, Carl, and Patrick are there.
Yes.
And then like screams and does this crazy face and blows away Elise and Carl, locking them out of the room, leaving Josh and Parker and the mom in the room. But when he turns around, it's just a bunch of people in cloaks or like sheets, white sheets.
Yes, that's right. And then he's pulling the sheets off of them, and it's just women with their eyes closed standing. So
assuming to be Parker's victims.
Yes, yeah, the victims that we saw in the house before. And then cutting back into actual present day. So evil Patrick Wilson is a lot of doppelgangers in the last few movies. Yeah. Two, I guess, this one and the last one. Patrick Wilson.
2 Oscar Isaacs, 2 Patrick Wilsons? Stop.
Keep going. So he's choking Renee, and then he gets his ass kicked by his kids. The boys are here. The boys are back. It's his dad with the baseball bat, right?
Yes.
That's when this happens.
That's when the baseball bat comes
in. And then they're able to get him off of Renee, and then they get into the basement, and they're able to lock the door into the basement, and Patrick Wilson cannot get in. And earlier, they slammed his hand in the door, and he said, it's been so long. So this line was pretty bad.
So good.
It's like, it's been so long since I felt real pain. It feels great, but I like inflicting pain on others. And I was like, okay.
And he's just doing his little evil-y voice.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Good.
I do love his like evil, creepy face.
Give Patrick Wilson more villain roles. Make him the Phantom.
I'd watch it. Okay, so they are in the basement, and then he ends up being able to bust into the basement eventually. Yes?
Yeah.
And then
very Shining-esque.
Yes. Well, I don't know that, but I do. So yes. Haven't seen The Shining, but I know the Here's Johnny classic. So he ends up getting in there. And then Dalton's like, hey, Mom, don't worry. I can go into the dark place. Yeet! And then he yeets himself into the astral.
Like, I'll go the further. No problem, Mom. Just knock me out.
Like, Mommy, don't worry. I'll go into the dark place. Bye! And then he just, like, astral projects himself away. So Dalton is looking for his dad. Dalton appears in... How do they get rid of the ghosts in the further? Oh! He's pulling... Yes, this is how it happens. Yes. This is how it happens. So he's pulling the sheets off of the woman. Good Ghost Patrick Wilson is pulling the sheets off of the victims, and then he pulls one off, and it's actually the mom under there, and the mom grabs him and throws him up against the wall and is choking him, and there's blood coming out of her mouth, and then Elise comes up behind her and starts wailing on her with a rocking chair, and then we cut to Specs.
Like, it holds, like, she is just, like, repeatedly just hitting this ghost lady
her
with a wooden chair.
It was amazing. And so then we cut to Specs, who has woken up and is down. He grabbed the mother-in-law, and he's down in the basement. He starts hitting Patrick Wilson.
Everyone's hitting Patrick Wilson.
Everyone's hitting each other.
Renee hit him.
It's just cutting back and forth. It's like, ghost
Carl,
people, ghost people, ghost people, smack, smack. And then Dalton shows up in the further.
Yes. Because at this point, Lisa's like, by the way, I felt Carl's heart. You're actually not dead.
Yeah, go back.
And Patrick, you gotta go back too, so I'm gonna...
And she also said, she's like, yeah, I was in heaven, but then I came back because I heard you needed help. And now I'm going back to heaven. Bye. And then Dalton shows up, and Dalton has the tin can, and he can hear his mom talking to him in the real world saying, please come back, through the tin can. So they follow the tin can back through, and then ghosts pop up again, and then they're like, no, get away. And then they wake up. Yeah. And then they wake up, and so Son wakes up, Patrick Wilson wakes up, coughs a bunch, winces.
To specify, Patrick Wilson becomes unpossessed at the exact same time when Elise, like, beats up the mom.
Yes.
So Patrick Wilson is about to, like, hit Dalton with a hammer.
That's right. Okay, in the real world.
Yes.
In the real world.
And then, meanwhile, in the further, Elise just fucking bashes in the mom.
That's right.
Thus, like, stating, I guess, like, by destroying the mother and that negative influence on him, it dispels him, and so then he leaves the body.
We really needed 2 people to recap this. Thank you for paying me.
Yes.
And so then the mom is holding Dalton, and then Dalton's like, Dad, yay, it's you, and goes over to hug him, and then Patrick Wilson's crying, and he's like, it's me for real. Oh, wait, we found out that the song that's been playing on the piano was a song, Renee is a musician, and she wrote a song for Patrick Wilson, and that was the song that's been playing in the house, and then evil Patrick Ghost Doppel possessed Wilson says he doesn't he didn't recognize the song. She's like, you don't remember what the song is? And he's like, no. So he says, I've been trying to talk to you. I was playing the song, and she's like, she looks shell shocked. She's like, tears in her eyes, like traumatized. I didn't think she was gonna go to him for a second. And I forgot what franchise I was watching, and then she's like, no one could play the song as bad as you did. And then they kiss and they're crying, and yay, happy family. And then...
Would you rather this movie be like, oh no, I'm going to divorce you?
Yes.
Oh.
Straight up, yes, because of what happens next. So they are in their living room, Carl is there, and the Patrick Wilson and his son are going to undergo hypnosis again to forget that any of this ever happened. Eric brought up an amazing point. What the fuck about Renee?
She just has to hold that now.
And the other kid.
And the mom.
What the fuck? Yeah, because the mom, they can't get, I mean,
I guess
maybe it implies that they could all get hypnotized to forget.
Yeah. This is also funny. At this moment, too, we were like, oh, is Specs dead? Because we saw him get flung, and we thought he was dead. And then he wasn't in the shot. And it wasn't until the camera slowly zoomed that he was able to, like, sneak into the shot.
And we're like, oh, there he is. Okay.
Like, literally Googling, like, did Specs die?
It was very funny. And then there's a white light. And then we go to a different time, which is less saturated. And Specs and Tucker are going to another person's house. And they say that someone contacted Allison, and they're like, that's impossible, whatever. It's another setup, basically. And there's a little girl holding a doll, and she says, who's the old lady behind you? And then Specs and Tucker kind of look at each other, and the parents are like, what old lady? And then we see Elise walk through. The kid can see her. So, in a very cute turn of events, Specs, Tucker, and Elise are still a ghost-busting team, but Elise is a ghost.
The Ghostbuster.
Which is hella cute. And then there's a woman who is sitting in a chair, and then Elise is trying to talk to her, and she looks behind her, and she gasps, and she says, oh my god, and then that is the end of the movie. Which I think is so dumb. But that's a stupid ending. It's like, what could that be now again?
It was the demon.
The lipstick demon? We don't know that. How do we know that?
It's because of the sound effect.
Whatever. Come on, that's not...
Yeah! If you heard the grudge noise, you would know it's
I don't know what the grudge noise is. And also, they play this in the beginning of the movie, so is the lipstick demon in the beginning of the movie? No.
They played the
yes, they did. They played the strings at the beginning of
the
movie.
No, not the strings. When she was, like, looking at her, she heard it's like the wood chip sounds.
Oh.
Where it sounds like there's nail scratching.
Oh, I thought you meant the...
No,
like, that's the title credits, Eric! God damn it! Okay, well, that's fine. Fine.
Okay.
Insidious 2. Insidious Chapter 2. Closes. Doo-doo-doo. Wow!
Does it close like that, or does it close like...
What a film. What a fucking...
Good. I'm not...
What a flick.
There
We did a great job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Take that, any other person who recapped this movie.
Wow. What a movie.
So this movie was made for $5 million.
Okay. Pretty low budget. Super low budget.
Low budget. Okay, so to be comparisons. Let's go back in let's get in our further time machine and go further back into time. Saw was made for $1.2 million. Made $103.9 million. Okay. Insidious Chapter 1 was made for $1.5 million. So like Saw budget pretty much.
That's wild.
And made a little bit less at $99.5 million.
Yeah.
This movie was an upgrade, of course, from $1.5 to $5 million.
Yeah. And
then made $161.9 million.
Whoa!
None of which touched Conjuring, that was made for $20 million and made $319.5 million.
Well, that makes sense now that we've looked at those effects from behind the scenes, why that budget was there. Was this... I feel like that budget went to stunts.
It feels like a budget that was like, oh, we have more money now. Let's do everything.
Let's just kick each other's asses.
We have abandoned hospitals. We have flashbacks.
We have an abandoned house. We have a normal house. We have a dream house. We have another dream house.
So many houses.
Yeah.
That are hard to keep track of. Especially because they're all like James Wan has a very specific type of house he likes, because it's the same type of house layout where it's like, you open up the front door, there's a staircase, there's a room to the side with a door, and there's a room to the left, which is like the living room area.
And there's going to be a basement.
And there's ghosts.
I think that this movie... Is there any other, after stuff you want to tell me about?
Not really. Since this is a sequel that was made mostly directly due to the success of the first one, there's not that many interesting details.
It's a very fucking good sequel. I'll say that.
It
is way better than the first movie.
Reminds me of why, I was like, because when we watched the first movie, it's like, I don't remember this movie having this tone or vibe of just this coma child. And it's like, oh, it's going to remember the craziness of the second movie.
Yeah.
Which is crazy too, because when I was researching this movie, I got a little discouraged. I won't lie, because I didn't remember too much about this movie, because I've only seen it once or twice. And everyone talking about it online was like, the first one is great. The second one doesn't really live up to it.
What the fuck are they talking about?
Like it wasn't that scary. I think they were just wanted it to be spooky. But this movie is great in my opinion, because it is kind of spooky, but it's almost like a action fantasy movie.
Yeah, honestly, give this a different soundtrack. That one fighting scene where the one guy gets tranquilized and they're hitting each other over the head. Put it, I don't know, a comedy. Put Tiptoe Through the Tulips over that.
That would be great.
Fucking funny.
That would be hilarious.
It could be literally anything else if you put different music over it.
Yeah.
I feel like.
And they're just expanding the lore of being when you're in the further, you can time. That's such a crazy idea that they baked into the first movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they did it on purpose in the first movie. Did they?
Maybe.
Did they say that they did?
I did not.
I mean, it's a very typical thing. You hear a noise, nothing's there. You hear a noise, nothing's there again.
But it does feel pointless in the first movie, to the point of you being what was that? I
mean, yeah, but it wasn't out of place enough for me to be that was weird. I just was sure, great, of course.
Right.
But I think it's really clever how they did that. They used the old footage too, and the way that they set the house up and traveling through the house. Again, these movies succeed the most when we're in the further. That's when they shine. That's when they kick ass.
They always succeed in the third act.
Yes.
Right when they're able to get through that setup part and they're able to get crazy.
First act, I'm Jesus Christ. Second act, I'm oh my God, I'm never going to be able to remember all this. Third act, I'm yes, hit him with the chair! Hit him with the rocking chair! I think we should talk about the problematic part of this movie, which is the weird gender trauma inflicted upon the soon-to-be murderer mom relationship. What the fuck was that?
So I found an article by May Rude, who is a trans writer from Audio Straddle, called Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Trans Woman? On horror and Jan's femininity. And pretty much she breaks down... she uses Insidious Chapter 2 as kind of a kickoff point to talk about, in general, there's the horror trope of trans representation in horror movies, and the reason why a lot of these killers are killers is because of their transness. And usually it's tied to their mental illness. I think this movie is pulling so much from Psycho, obviously, with the mother, and he's killing because of his mother. And
it sounds like we gotta watch Psycho soon.
Sure. Why not?
I guess
It's a classic.
we have to. Yeah, we need to see it sometime.
But she states in a long paragraph, it's a pretty good article, we'll link to it. In a longer paragraph, she pretty much points out 3 problematic things with this type of thing, with this type of representation in horror movies, which is presenting trans people as mentally ill, imposters, and dangerous.
But also, this killer isn't a trans person. It's someone who was like massive psychological trauma inflicted upon them by their mom.
Which the article does go into the fact, and there was another one I found by Horror Queer that were talking about that.
There's no desire there from Parker to be a girl. It's just the mom doing like gaslighting him into like accepting that he's a girl. Mm-hmm. So the mom wanted to kill people. I'm sure there's not a whole lot here beyond what we have. But the mom wanted the son to grow up as a daughter and then kill people.
That's where it gets confusing for me. Because I don't know if it's actually the mom who wants him to kill, or if it's his own psychological problem. And he is kind of projecting a figure of his mother who is telling him to kill.
And he says that he wants to be alive again, and he wants to live again, so he's trying to like reclaim his life, maybe as an adult man. But then when so the idea is that he has like a alter ego, the Black Bride, who kills women and dresses up in drag and kills women as an adult. But he was presenting as a man when he was in the hospital, and then when he killed himself. So,
although there is a point too, randomly, that he tried to castrate himself.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's important too. What the fuck? I feel like they're not equipped to talk about this.
No, what is happening is, I mean, I would never expect James Wan or Leigh Whannell to be kind of very educated on this material, which means they probably should avoid it. But instead they're pulling from inspiration from horror history, and so without really thinking about what they're doing, it's obvious that they're just pulling these gender tropes from past movies without understanding what they're doing.
What a weird decision. And I see where they're coming from, because Insidious really just throws the kitchen sink at us, just almost literally just throws everything at us.
Yeah.
Like this and ghosts, demons, dead children, baby being scared, scary past lives, time travel,
ghost kitchen
altar,
sink.
whatever. Literally, what the fuck ever. Like, it throws everything at us, but it's just like, it's such a weird, like, this was the figure tormenting Josh, and then it has nothing to do with Josh. So it's like, was the spirit, oh wait, maybe, okay, so maybe the spirit of adult Parker / Black Bride was trying to inhabit Josh because he wanted to be a boy and like a kid, and have a young man youth.
That's what it seems like, because he does try to. They set up why he picks Josh because he sees him in the ICU, but then with Dalton, he does try to possess Dalton then next.
Yeah, but it's just like such a weird hook to hang your hat of your franchise upon.
Something you could have just avoided, because it makes it so much more complicated.
And and worse. Yeah. Like, it makes it worse. It makes the movie worse. It's so weird. It's just like such a weird choice. It's like, it speaks, I feel like it speaks to like biological essentialism a little bit, and I don't think it's trying to do that, but it's just like, no matter what you are told and how you want to act, you actually, or someone else wants you to act, you actually still are what you are. Which feels like a really weird, like, anti-trans point, like a biology point, like a nature over nurture point. It's so weird. It's just like a whole weird psychosexual, like, gender drama we did not need in Insidious Chapter 2.
Yeah, because outside of the other examples that are in the history, this one's very specific in, like, it is not the character itself. It is being inflicted by somebody else, which is in another movie.
It's so weird. It's such a weird choice, and it's a bad choice.
Yes.
The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, that sucked.
Yeah, that was why I went into this movie kind of like, because like that was just like the point that like festered in my head all day. I forgot, and I had forgotten most of the rest of the movie.
It's festering.
Yeah,
it's festering now because I have lost my glee for the WWE style SmackDown of the third act.
Great,
is kind of diminished by this weird point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird choice. They didn't develop it enough. I don't know. is weird. Mm-hmm. What do we like about the movie? After all that.
You tell me, Jamie. Get you back on board.
I think the pacing is good. The pacing's pretty good. It's an hour and 45. But it clips, though. They wasted 15 minutes on credits in the beginning. Don't ask me why. So it's really an hour and a half.
I will say, okay, I'm not defending this movie, but I like a good atmospheric opening credit sequence. Like a la Spider-Man 2, when they recap the first movie and like the web and everything with the graphics.
I haven't seen any of the Spider-Man movies. I haven't seen those movies. You knew that. You didn't know that.
Jamie, what do you got going on for the next 5 hours?
Yeah, the pacing is good. The lighting was less annoying. The further continues to kick ass and is very cool. Patrick Wilson was amazing in this movie. He was so great. I hate Josh still. I think Josh is a real shitter of a husband. But evil Josh, Robe Josh, possessed Josh, I like him. He's
if you ever
funny.
see somebody that you know just suddenly wearing a robe, don't trust them.
He just like did his little creepy, he's like, go on, do it. Creepy smile. And I was like, ooh, Patrick Wilson. Oh no. Yeah. I liked the kid hitting evil Patrick Wilson with a baseball bat. That I enjoyed as well.
All the violence in the movie was wonderful.
It was. Honestly, it was great. I love Elise. I think Elise is great. I think she is like, that actress just has gravitas. Like, she could be a really annoying character, but she's not annoying at all. It really did feel like the Avengers when she shows up. You're like, yeah, she's
It
here.
is wild how this series accidentally put her as, like, their main character. And I think they fucked up because they killed her in the first movie. And then they're like, shit, this is obviously our star for the Insidious series.
Yeah. Oops.
Prequel time, I guess.
Yeah. What did you like about this movie?
Pretty much everything that you just said. And, like,
Nice.
the time travel. And
Yeah, the time travel was great. It was rad.
I thought it did still have some good little spooky moments, little James Wan scares that he always puts in his movies.
Yes.
It's just like a weird. It's like more fun, I think, than scary.
Yeah, this movie is not scary at all.
Yeah,
This is not scary. I wouldn't like let a kid watch it because it has like scary images in it that could still like scare a kid. This is a great movie if you're like 13.
yes.
This is like I'm in middle school and I got to go to the movies and I'm seeing a PG-13 movie and it kicks ass and I am so brave and good. Mm-hmm. That is what this movie feels like to me. Maybe that's why it made so much money.
Yeah,
It's like a popcorn horror movie, 100%.
it has enough energy to like keep your audience like paying attention to the screen pretty much.
The first movie was just like trauma and long pauses and then a weird noise happens for like 45 minutes. And this movie was like, no, we have some places to go.
Yeah.
We are going to go there.
We have knives, we have syringes, we have baseball bats, we have a whole arsenal. Yeah, just anything you see is a weapon. I'm surprised they didn't use the baby's little bouncy thing as like a weapon at one point to like.
That's something I didn't like. Circling back very briefly, the weird
no.
baby stuff. I was like, they didn't follow through on the threat with the baby.
I will say I did just see the poster right now, and it is like
yes!
it's a horrible poster. It's like poorly cropped out, at least with her two children going, and then like evil Renee,
yeah.
and then like evil red light baby in the background.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like everything I knew about this movie, I was like, that baby is fucked. Like, what if the baby was the best astral projector, and then she astral projects into the further, and she's in her little baby bounce, and it's like Baby Yoda and his little orb.
Don't spoil number 3.
Look, they couldn't even. They
the
wish
lipstick
they could.
demon comes up, and the baby just boom.
They wish they could. That would have been amazing. And it's like, oh, the baby is actually the best astral projector ever. Like they set up all this baby stuff, and then it never paid off.
Maybe in the 5th one.
I would like less baby stuff or more baby stuff.
Okay.
Not this amount this is the wrong amount.
Wrong amount of baby stuff.
I am Goldilocks, and this is the wrong amount of baby stuff. More or less, please. Make a decision.
What would you rate it on the scarometer?
I'm gonna give it like a 2.5.
Damn.
What was scary? Like what
Jamie just said that while like brushing off the scare dust off her shoulders. Like nothing touches me.
I did a cool smoke ring with my cool cigarette. What? I did scream at something. Oh! It was the first scare with Renee and the ghost mom, and then the baby roller thing gets like flung.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It was on the ground, and then it gets picked up and thrown against the ceiling, and I thought the baby was in there,
That's...
so I was like, oh, fuck, no!
Now that you mention that scene does feel like that, like, somehow, like, accidentally gone.
Yes!
It felt like it was from The Conjuring and accidentally, like, trickled onto the set of Insidious, too.
That was amazing. That scene, I think that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Favorite scenes? Any favorite scenes?
Time travel,
fight
sequence. That was funny. It was... I don't think Specs and Tucker are funny, but it was...
I thought they were funny because they were so unfunny.
It's like anti-humor.
It came back around.
It's the Travis McElroy of... but they're arguing, like, the bit isn't funny because they're like, say unicorn. He's like, no, say quesadilla. It's like the safe word for Carl goes in. But it's like funny because Carl is in mid-battle with Patrick Wilson and then starts getting choked out, and that's when he's like, quesadilla.
Which was really funny.
Yeah.
I think they're so funny. They're trying to be like, lol, XD, so random. Like, they're trying so hard for those characters.
It makes them more realistic because that's what, like, real-life banter would be.
We'd see these guys in Game Depot.
Yeah.
Game Depot is our local game store for Dungeons & Dragons and other cool shit, and it's a great store. Go there, support them. A lot of the folks in there are these guys.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
The owners, nice people. Customers,
they're great.
Debatable.
Okay, I'm going to give this rating. I'm going to give this 1 out of 5 teeth.
Ooh.
Patrick Wilson teeth.
Patrick Wilson teeth that you find on the ground. It is weird. It is a weird note where he sees a tooth on the ground. It's like, oh, this is evident. Like, what does that tell you?
I'd be like, bro, uh-oh.
And that's the end of our episode. Please subscribe and drop us a review if you haven't already. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Horrorscope Pod with 1D and at Twitter at Horrorscope Pod with 2Ds. We post announcements, news, artwork, and behind the scenes and a bunch of other cool stuff there. Your horoscope for the day is... Don't recognize yourself anymore? Scream!
It's me, the lipstick demon!
Oh,
Oh, hello!
No, okay.
You know Tiny Tim, he's my favorite.
This sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. It does. It does.